The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Namaskar, welcome to our webinar on Ashtanga Yoga. This is the third class. So the class will be recorded, you will get a recording. You can type your questions during the class. I may reply in the course of the explanation or at the end. Okay, let's get started. The previous classes I have explained about the importance to keep a good relationship with others and the practices that one can do to keep this good relationship with others. Actually, 5 practices. It is a system called YAMA. So there are 5 practices. As a review, so the first practice was not to harm anybody, not to hurt anybody, not to harm anybody. This should be our intention. Of course, I also said that in case we need to defend ourselves or defend other people, or in certain circumstances, it might happen that we harm people, but without being our intention. So it's a complex practice. It may sound easy, but really to not hurt any other being is not an easy task, and it requires a lot of thought and a lot of practice, let's say. Okay, so that was number 1. Number 2, to maintain a good relationship with others, we are always talking to other people, communicating. So in the use of our words, this energy that is transported by our words should carry benevolence and truth. So this is satya, benevolent truthfulness, number 2. Number 3, we shouldn't take things from others without their permission. That is will create a bad relationship. So asteya, no stealing. Number 4, this is a very interesting, kind of a more subtle spiritual thing, brahmacharya, to see the oneness in everything. Is like everyone, everything, every being is part of me. Just like my hand is part of my body, other beings are a part of me in a certain way. If I see this oneness, that everything is this universal consciousness all around me, different expressions, then I will have more chance to have a good relationship with other beings. And that's called brahmacharya, seeing oneness. And the last, number 5, is to live simply, not to accumulate too much, to have what is essential for life. That's aparigraha, nothing superfluous to occupy our mind. So this is the practice of YAMA, to maintain a good relationship with others. So 5 practices. Now, the second step, the second limb, the second part of this Eightfold Yoga is to maintain a good relationship with myself. And for that also there are 5 practices. And they are called, another system called Niyama. And the first one, which I'm going to talk today, it will be the topic of today, is cleanliness, purity. So I need to keep my body pure, my environment pure, my mind pure. So physical, mental. The goal is always to keep mental equilibrium, to develop the first level of the mind, the conscious level of the mind. And for that, we are practicing YAMA and NIYAMA. So these 5+5 practices, like the fingers in my hand, 5 YAMA, 5 NIYAMA, they together will develop my conscious level, the conscious level of my mind. If I have a good relationship with others and a good relationship with myself, my conscious mind will be in a balanced state. If that happens, then I can go deeper within my mind. And meditation is to go deeper. Yoga is to go deeper within. So how to maintain harmony with myself? Here, there is no second entity. It's only me and myself. So how should I relate to myself? This is a very important thing. We sometimes don't think about it so much, but we are in our company all the time. And if we don't have a good relationship with ourselves, we'll be unhappy all the time. So that's a very, very, very important point. So to keep a good relationship with myself, I apply a system called NIYAMA, and that's the minimum necessary I should do to maintain a good relationship with myself. And here are 5 principles or 5 practices. So, as I mentioned in previous classes, if we go to a bookshop, if we go online and we look for how to keep a good relationship with ourselves, and we'll find hundreds of books, hundreds of points that we can follow, but the idea is to minimize, to do the minimum necessary. Otherwise, it is an endless effort, and to follow so many points, mind will lose focus. So here we are focusing on 5 things. From the class number 1 and 2, we learned about a good relationship with others. And now we go for a good relationship with ourselves. It is something that is not only in the mind, it's also related to physical, psychic. So the first point I mentioned, cleanliness, purity. Cleanliness, it can be maintain a clean body, pure body, environment, clean environment, maintain a pure mind. Let's first talk about physical. So physical, it could be physical external and physical internal. So there are 2 parts. So cleanliness has 2 parts, physical, mental. Now we go to physical. Physical also has 2 parts, external, internal. Let's start from external. External physical cleanliness. So what is external? Okay, my body. So mainly through water, taking bath, and another system we have called half bath, and other ways I can maintain my body clean. Okay, like clean the mouth, the body, brush teeth, and so many methods we have developed in today's society, in today's life, that we can keep our body clean. We also need to clean the environment. So we should think, whatever I'm doing, I'm not polluting the environment, and I'm helping to keep the environment clean. So for that also, I'm not going to go deeper into this point. I think most of us understand, even though today there are so many companies polluting the environment, destroying the environment, and they don't think that whatever they are doing, our planet has its limitations of how much it can, let's say, digest or purify itself from all the toxic materials that we produce and that we spread around the environment. So that's a practice, how I should act every day in a way that I keep the environment clean. All right, I'm not going to elaborate further on this topic, but as you can imagine, it's a very vast topic. There is so much that we can talk about it, and but this will not be the scope now of this of this presentation. Okay. All right. I talked about external physical cleanliness. Let's talk about internal. Internal means anything that will enter into my body. It means whatever food I'm going to take, whatever drink I'm going to drink, anything that's going in, I should think, is this substance going to be good for me? Is it going to be good for my body? Is it going to be good for my mind? So anything physical that is entering into my body. That is also another very important point, how to keep the body clean. So there is food that it may be nutritious, means it may have all the chemicals and amino acids and whatever substance are there, but the effect they have in my body and mind may not be good. So better to keep those out. One thing I like to say is that when I give like a comparison, when you enter into a country, they have the customs. Well, they have the passport control, check your documents, and then you go through customs and they check if you are carrying any substances, any merchandise, anything that's not allowed in that country. It's not good for that country. So in the same way, we should have customs that anything that's going to enter into our body, we should think, is this good for me or not? If it's not good, keep out. If it's good, then let it come in. So, another point, proper flow of nutritional elements. It means I ingest the food, digest the food, absorb the food, eliminate the excess, the toxins. So it keeps a flow, so the body, if the body is flowing well, will maintain a good health. If there is a blockage, okay, so let's say you're eating and then you have a lot of difficulty to eliminate, that's a problem because the body will reabsorb many of the toxic substances instead of eliminating. So it's very important that you eat, digest, absorb, eliminate. So this flow should be very, let's say, regular, and if there is any disturbance in that, it needs our attention. Needs a lot of attention because that is actually the beginning of any disease, any ailment that can come to the body, is when there is not a good flow. So this flow is very important. All right. Okay, so I finished physical cleanliness, internal, external. Now I go to mental cleanliness. And mental also is divided in two parts, external, internal, or internal, external. So both physical and mental have two parts. I will start from external mental cleanliness. External means anything that is outside us, and now it is going to enter into our mind. Let's say I'm listening to a music, or I am watching a program on TV, or I'm watching a movie. It is some vibrations that are coming from outside entering my mind. So I should always think, what is going to be the effect of that, let's say, visual vibration or sound vibration that is entering into my mind? Is that going to be good for me or not? If it's not good for me, I should avoid. If it's okay, if it's not disturbing me, then it's okay. But if it's disturbing me, I should avoid. Suppose I am making an effort to, let's say, stop drinking. Okay. If I see advertisement of drinking, if I see other people drinking, if I see anything related to drinking, and that will remind me of drinking, and then I can't resist and I have to drink, it means that's not good for me. But it can be that I have no drinking habit, no difficulty with drinking. If I see something, it was not going to disturb me. So in that way, I have to decide to come into contact with certain stimulus or not from outside. Okay, so that's external mental cleanliness. Now external, now let's talk about internal. Internal mental cleanliness. In this case here, it's not something that's coming from outside and is stimulating your mind. It is something that is already inside. For example, suppose I see my neighbor, and my neighbor got a new car, beautiful car, and I look and say, oh my God, my neighbor, he got a brand new car. Oh no, oh wow. And some jealousy comes in my mind. You see here that it's not that the jealousy came from outside. From outside was just the fact that my neighbor got a new car. So the jealousy was inside. It just was already there. It got triggered by something outside, but it's already inside. So now to keep the mind clean, I have to do something that will counteract, that will eliminate that thought. Otherwise, instead of meditating, I'll be thinking about my neighbor having a new car and I'll be feeling bad about it. So that's the idea here, is that how you can change the mind, change the way the mind is seeing the fact. So one technique, is not the only one, but one technique that I'm going to mention now is use an opposite thought wave, or a thought wave that creates an opposite effect. For example, I see the neighbor got a new car. Now this jealousy starts developing, but I apply the idea that that neighbor is a very good friend of mine. So now, by applying that thought, you see how things change. Then what happens in my mind is, oh, my friend got a new car. That's great. I feel happy. I'm very supportive. I'm very happy that my friend got a new car, that he's doing good. So, same fact, same thing happening outside, but the way I think about it, or the way I apply the thoughts on it, I can change the way my mind is reacting. And I can maintain my cleanliness inside me. Okay, so this can happen in many circumstances, that I will see something and it will create a certain mental wave within me which is not clean, let's say it's not pure. So by applying an opposite thought, I can make my mind pure and balanced again. So that's internal mental cleanliness. Okay, so summary, let's see what we saw today. We saw the first point of niyama, the first point to keep my mind balanced, to keep a good relationship with myself. Cleanliness. We saw that cleanliness can be physical and mental. And then we saw that each one, physical and mental, could be internal and external. So now let's review one by one. Physical, internal. Physical, internal. So anything that's entering the body, going inside the body. Physical, external. What is outside, like taking a bath, cleaning the environment. Internal, what I eat, what I drink, what I let in. All right. So that's about physical cleanliness. Then mental. Mental also internal, external. Internal is the feelings, the emotions, the propensities that are within me. And they can get triggered by anything that happens outside, like the jealousy, the example I gave. That's internal mental. How to do that? Apply a different opposite thought that changes the way the mind thinks. Keep it pure. External, in this case here, external mental is coming from outside, going inside. So any external vibration, it can be something that I smell, that I touch, that I see, that I hear, that I taste, and it's coming and creating impression in my mind. So anything that's coming from outside, is that good for me? Not good for me. Discriminate. Good, all right, come in. Not good, avoid. Even there is one saying from Buddha that if you see something that may be detrimental to your mind, it's not good for your mind, then don't look. If there is you are going to hear something that is also not good for you, don't hear. And the same, don't smell, don't touch. Okay, so that is to keep the mind pure. Now, why we are doing that? Why we want to keep my mind pure? Why to keep the body pure? Because that will give a good mental feeling, a mental equilibrium. My conscious mind will be balanced. You know, when I arrive in a place where it's harmonious, clean, I feel good. So the environment is very important. If I'm feeling uncomfortable, I take a shower, I feel clean and pure, my mind changes. So we don't need to think too much to understand the importance of cleanliness. And that's the first point, to have a good relationship with myself. Okay, questions. You can type your questions and I can reply. All right, so let's see. First question here. Sometimes I cannot keep my thoughts. No. Sometimes I cannot keep some thoughts out. What can I do? Well, it is normal. It happens. What I'm telling about niyama is that it is an effort, or it is a practice. Once you know that, for example, once you know that to be jealous of something that the other person has is not good for you. Now you understood that. Now, when it happens, you will make an effort to counteract it. Okay? So that is a practice. So you do it once, you do it twice, you do it 3 times, and then your mind will start changing the way it behaves. You know, you are changing your mind through practice. So eventually, as a result of practice, the response of the mind will be different. The way the mind will react to an external stimulus will be different. So that is the point of external mental cleanliness or internal mental cleanliness. Okay, internal because it's within you, and external is when it's coming from outside. So in this case here, you cannot keep the thoughts out. The thoughts are coming by themselves when you see something. How to keep it out? Practice. Meditation. So different ways, and everything is very much related. You know, how your body functions, how your mind functions. It functions in this way today because of everything you did in your existence, all the stimulus you have received, influence from people that you have had a relation with. So all this, whatever you have thought so far, all this has made you as you are today. So now you want to change. I want to change. So how? Small changes. When I see something that I feel is not right, then I make an effort to change it at that moment. And then it happens again I make effort. And this constant effort will make change. Okay, other question. Are you going to talk about yogic ways to purify the body? I could, but it's kind of a whole presentation in itself. So it's not within the scope of the course now, maybe in the future. But the idea is that it is important to keep the body pure, to make effort to keep the body clean. But we also should not go overboard. I mean, do too much cleaning, this, that process, this technique, this one. One very important thing about the practice of yoga is that it should be something that we can incorporate in our day-to-day life. It can be part of our life, and it allows us to live with our family, with our social responsibilities in this world, and at the same time practicing. And remember, the goal is not that we have to have a perfectly pure body. The goal is that we want to reach the state of yoga. And we have certain limited time for that. So utilize the time in the best way, in a balanced way. Okay. Okay, I don't see any more questions. I will end this webinar here, and just one more quote from George Bernard Shaw. He said, "Better keep yourself clean and bright. You are the window through which you must see the world." So it's the idea that I'm seeing the world through this window, which is myself. So as the way I am will reflect on how I see the world. If I see the world with optimism, everything is getting better, it's bright, so many new opportunities. Or I'm seeing with another window that, oh, everything is bad, or there is crisis, or there is problem. How do I see the world? I am the window. Through this window, I see the world. So keep yourself clean and bright. This much for this class, and we still have a little bit to go on the course, and thank you very much. And the homework this week, practice cleanliness. Mental, physical, external, internal. Put it into practice. See if it makes a difference in your life. Thank you very much, and namaskar.